Most people believe that violent crime, the kind that leaves entire neighborhoods terrified, is the work of men. But in Kenya's criminal underworld, that's just a misconception. There exists another breed of outlaw, young women vibrant and fearless. Women whose stories are as shocking as they are tragic. Today we pull back the curtain on 3 young women, vibrant, beautiful, and deadly. They lived fast and died young.
Criminals, non-criminals who terrorize people within this county and
called her the most beautiful gangster in Nairobi.
And a lady linked to a 30th March shooting and robbery.
Marshal Minai was once a pupil at Imara School in Kayole, where she sat for her Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, KCPE, in 2012. Upon completing her primary education, she made life-changing decision. Instead of continuing to secondary school, she left her family home and went to live with a friend. This friend was none other than Clea Wanjiku, widely known in the streets as Clea Adi Vibes, the notorious girlfriend of the infamous Kayole gangster Mwani Sparta. Like Marshal, Claire had abandoned her education. She had moved in with Mwani and had fully immersed herself in his criminal lifestyle. Marshal, surrounded by this new environment, soon found herself drawn into the same world. She later became romantically involved with Kalo, a close associate and trusted ally of Mwani. The two began living together, forming a bond that lasted until Kalo's arrest. Kalo was eventually sentenced to 2 years in industrial area prison, leaving Marshal alone. By this time, she had already cemented her role as a crucial contact among the women connected to the infamous Gaza gang. Together with other female gang members, she participated in violent robberies, striking fear into residents in areas such as Eastleigh and Nairobi's central business district. Following Kalo's imprisonment, Marshal relocated to Mijingo in Patanisho area, where she rented a modest single-room house. It was here that she fell in love with yet another man, this one also a Gaza gang member, though his identity remains unknown to this day. On one fateful Sunday afternoon, the police received an intelligence tip-off about her whereabouts. Acting swiftly, they surrounded the house in Mijingo. Inside, Marshal and her new lover were allegedly in the middle of an intimate encounter. Police officers claimed the pair were interrupted as they tried to force their way into the house. But instead of surrendering, the gangsters responded with gunfire, shooting indiscriminately through the door. The officers, however, outmaneuvered them. Using the element of surprise, they fired through the window, killing both suspects. From the scene, police recovered a Beretta Seska pistol, a small but lethal, semi-automatic weapon, along with ammunition and spent cartridges. Marshal's death came just shortly after the demise of her close friend, Clea Adi Vibes. Clea Wanjiku, known for her flamboyant street image, was born in 1999 and hailed from Oranga County. She dropped out of secondary school in Form 1. Around 2013, after being disciplined by her principal, a punishment that drove her to leave home for Nairobi. It was in the city that she met Mwani Sparta, the leader of the Gaza gang's Kayole faction. Just like him, she embraced a ruthless life of crime, engaging in armed robberies targeting M-Pesa agents and unsuspecting civilians. Claire later established her own feared subgroup called Warembo Sacco, a female-only affiliate of the Gaza gang. Members were easily recognizable by their trademark flashy silver jewelry, including silver-capped teeth, heavy makeup, colorful wigs or turbans, and open-laced shoes. Their method of operation often involved luring unsuspecting men into a false sense of security before robbing them at gunpoint. Her reign of terror came to a bloody end on Wednesday, May 12, 2017. At exactly 3:16 a.m., police received a tip-off via a WhatsApp group detailing her location in the Lower Choka area along Kangundo Road. Claire and 4 heavily armed accomplices were reported to be on a spree, terrorizing residents. This time, the police were determined not to let her slip away as she had done before. Earlier that same night, Claire had managed to evade capture during a police dragnet at Manyanya Road, but fate was closing in. The officers, now reinforced by backup units, confronted the gang head-on. The criminals had only one getaway motorbike, which sped away with two of the suspects, leaving the remaining two, including Claire, to flee on foot while exchanging gunfire with police. The shootout was brief but intense. In the end, the officers gunned down both suspects. Lying lifeless was Clea Adi Vibes, alongside her male accomplice, marking the violent conclusion of her criminal journey. Esther Wanjiku, widely recognized by her street name Bobo Shanty, came into the world in November 1999 in the bustling yet poverty-stricken area of Mathare constituency, Nairobi. Mathare is known for its vibrant energy, music, and deep-rooted community ties, but it also bears the scars of economic hardship, crime, and limited opportunities. It was in this environment that Esther's life began. She was raised in a single-parent household, her father absent from her upbringing. Her mother bore the full weight of raising Esther and her younger sister alone. They lived together in a modest two-bedroom flat in the heart of Mathare, and despite the daily struggles, Esther's mother was determined to provide her children with the best life she could manage. Tirelessly working to keep food on the table and the children in school, she became both a parent and a role model for resilience. Esther attended a local primary school within Mathare, but as she transitioned into her teenage years, life began to shift. The combination of financial struggles at home and the influence of peers started to wear her down. Many of her childhood friends were not in school anymore. They had dropped out at different stages. With little structure in their lives, they roamed the streets for most of the day, idle and searching for excitement. That idle time, combined with the harsh realities of poverty, often pulled young people into drugs, petty theft, and eventually more serious crimes. And by the time Esther moved from primary to secondary school, she had already been drawn into this crowd. Her curiosity and admiration for the fast-paced street life grew stronger. The thrill and quick money her friends flaunted began to overshadow her interest in schoolwork. This drift came with serious consequences. Before completing her high school education, she became pregnant. She gave birth to a baby girl, whom she named Leilani. The baby's father refused to take responsibility, leaving Esther to shoulder the burden alone. At the time, she had no job and no steady source of income. Her mother once again stepped in, offering to help raise little Leilani, while Esther tried to find her footing. Eventually, Esther secured a job at a local hair salon. She had a natural talent for hairstyling, which made her well-liked by clients. But even as she worked, her old friends continued to pull her deeper into their lifestyle, a world of gangs, drugs, and illegal hustles. On the surface, Esther didn't look like the kind of person involved in crime. She loved fashion and often posted TikTok videos showcasing her outfits and makeup skills. She enjoyed partying and had a lively social personality. Beyond that, she was an enthusiastic football fan and an ardent supporter of Manchester United. To many who knew her casually, she was just another young Nairobi woman enjoying her 20s. But beneath that image was a growing involvement in dangerous activities. Her public image began to take a serious hit in December 2023, when she was accused of stealing 20,000 shillings and a mobile phone from a man she met in a nightclub. According to reports, the man had taken her home after a night of partying. While he slept, Esther allegedly transferred 20,000 shillings from his account to her own and left with his phone. The victim's friend shared the incident on social media, sparking online outrage. Despite efforts to track her down, Esther managed to evade arrest. By 2024, rumors began circulating that Esther was romantically involved with a man named Frederick Frick Kopo Kopo, a known figure from Kayamaiko in Huruma, still within Mathare. Locals described Frick as a dangerous criminal involved in violent robberies. He had built a reputation for fearlessness and brutality, yet the law had not caught up with him. Frick and Esther were part of a tight-knit circle that also included another childhood friend, Jalen Kibi, who had grown up just 2 houses away from Esther. Like many in their community, the three shared a history of hardship, and their bond was reinforced by a mutual desire for wealth, power, and respect. For Esther, the gang lifestyle seemed to provide a sense of belonging, excitement, and even purpose. As time passed, her participation in gang life deepened. Videos surfaced showing her using drugs and engaging in questionable behavior. What had begun as mere association evolved into active involvement. The crimes escalated from petty theft to high-stakes armed robberies, targeting individuals and businesses perceived as vulnerable. The group's most infamous crime unfolded in Eastleigh, Nairobi, on the morning of March 30th, 2024. Their target was a 26-year-old Somali businessman named Aden Ali Muhammad. That day, Ading's employer tasked him with depositing 3.9 million shillings into the bank money collected from oil sales over several days. Aden placed the cash into a green shopping bag and left BBS Mall, heading to the bank. However, it was a Saturday, and most banks in Kenya close at midday. By the time Aden arrived, the bank had already closed. Deciding to return to the mall, he hired a motorbike for convenience, unaware that he was being followed. A screen grab later revealed the chilling sequence of events. As Ading's motorbike traveled along Muratina Road, a second motorbike carrying 2 men overtook them and blocked their path. The passenger jumped off, confronted Aden, and demanded the bag of money. When Aden hesitated, the man shot him at close range in the neck. Aden collapsed onto the road, gravely injured. His motorbike rider froze in shock as the gunman snatched the green bag and fled with his accomplice. Bystanders rushed to Ading's aid and quickly took him to Healthgate Hospital. Doctors discovered that the bullet had entered through his neck and exited through his back, damaging his spine. Meanwhile, police began a manhunt for the suspects. CCTV images captured the attack, but the motorbike's registration plate was not visible. 4 days after the robbery, instead of lying low, the gang decided to spend some of their newfound wealth. They set their sights on buying a car move they believed would make future robberies easier. On April 3, 2024, Esther, Frick, and Jalen traveled to Mombasa to search for a suitable vehicle. According to investigators, Esther was suspected of having acted as the spotter during the Eastleigh robbery, identifying Aden and alerting her partners. Frick was believed to be the shooter, and Jalen the getaway driver. In Mombasa, the trio visited several car yards before finding a vehicle they liked. Just as they were about to start negotiations, 3 men approached them, claiming they knew a place offering a better deal. Trusting them, the group agreed to follow. But instead of arriving at another car yard, they were ambushed. The 3 were bundled into a waiting vehicle, and that was the last time they were seen alive. Over the next few days, their bodies were discovered in different locations across Nairobi and Kiambu counties. Frick's body was found on April 4th, 2024, in a thicket near Lare's Viewpoint in Kiambu. He had severe injuries, including a missing eye and a broken leg. Detectives tied him to the Eastley shooting, naming him as the gunman. On April 8th, Jalen's body turned up at the city mortuary. Esther's body was also recovered in Jua and taken to the same facility. The circumstances of their deaths fueled speculation. How had they gone from Mombasa to Nairobi and Kiambu in such a short time? Many suspected that law enforcement had executed them in retaliation for the Eastleigh robbery. The Kenya Human Rights Commission condemned the killings, stating that even if the 3 were guilty, They should have been arrested and tried in court. Autopsies revealed they had all died from strangulation, reinforcing suspicions of extrajudicial killings. As for the stolen 3.9 million shillings, it vanished without a trace. Some believed their killers had taken the money. Esther Wambui was buried on April 18, 2024, in Kandara, Maranga County. At her funeral, mourners reflected on the life she could have lived had she taken a different path or found better guidance earlier. Jalen was buried quickly in Kariokor Cemetery, according to Muslim traditions. While Frick's final resting place remains publicly unknown, the robbery's primary victim, Aiden Ali Mohammed, survived his injuries despite permanent spinal damage. He was eventually discharged from Healthgate Hospital, grateful to be alive to tell his story. Esther's tragic journey from a hopeful young girl in Mathare to a life of crime serves as a stark reminder of how poverty, peer influence, and lack of opportunity can shape and ultimately destroy a life.